Coach, the offensive line's been through a lot this season. Obviously, the coaching change. Just for them to have a game like they did against Michigan State, I guess, what's been the most rewarding part of just seeing them, I guess, kind of have to deal with the challenges, but then able to have a game like that?
I mean, just the payoff for those guys. Those guys have been through a lot. They've heard a lot. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. They have a lot of pride. They have a lot of pride in performance. And, we've got a new quarterback. You're playing in big wind, really cold. We've got some injuries at wideout. And so for those guys to really kind of own the game, and put the game on their shoulders and know that we had to run the ball successfully to win a game. And they did a great job. And if we hadn't stepped into one or two sacks and cost us, it could have been a 300-yard rushing day. And so, and the good news is there's still more to be had. There's still, some things where, it could have been a 320, 330, 340 on the ground type of day. But just really proud of those guys. Without those guys, we don't win that football game.
Coach, on Saturday you just talked about the running game was the gist of the offense. So how did you have the Onions to call the passes at the end of the game for the play that set up the touchdown and then the 2-point conversion?
Well, I think on the, you get in that situation overtime. They went first. We blocked a kick. We ran the ball really well to put ourselves in a position. Charles is so good that you just know, hey, look, we get this thing kind of center. We just get it down there. He's going to go win the game, and we got a field goal blocked, and from there, really the attitude, let's just go win the game right now. And so we've been kind of setting that up all day. Big, heavy 12 personnel look where we had been almost 100% run, and we wanted to go get that one in right now. Go try to win the game right now. And so we're able to punch it in, with a big power there, from the one, and then the 2-point play, that's a menu of things that we've carried all year. We've practiced it. We've repped it a bunch of times. And Dex did a great job finding the tight end late.
Way back in your introductory press conference, you said part of your job as offensive coordinator is to maximize the talents at quarterback. Obviously, you've had to do that for a few different quarterbacks here with Bazelak, Tuttle, and now with Williams. What has Williams brought? What are his strengths that you try to show? Some stuff that shows up in practice now. We've seen it on the field at Michigan State, Ohio State.
Yeah, I think first and foremost is just the physical arm talent. He can really drive the ball down the field. He's got a big, strong arm. He's a really good reactionary thrower. Kind of what he does really well. The elements were kind of precluded to that. And then I think obviously the conflict that he can create in the C gap, with his legs. And he's a guy that can win on third mediums, scramble attempts and when things don't go your way, and just the athleticism that he has. He plays the game really tough. There's some times he probably needs to do a better job of taking care of himself. But, I think just ultimately his versatility, and he's a guy that can do a little bit of everything, and he's still learning. It's a guy that missed a lot of football with an injury, and so he's still a really young player. And as he continues to grow, and through next spring, he's got a chance to be a really good player for us.
Walt, Tom mentioned Jalen Lucas a couple times a few minutes ago. Just how have you seen him develop, and what have you seen as his biggest area of growth so far as a freshman?
Yeah, I think the pass protection piece, that's always the biggest deal. He's had a couple issues that kind of showed themselves, not necessarily in terms of identification. He knows exactly what to do. And now it's just how to do it. And so, but I think just from now, from the time we got him in the spring until now, he's grown exponentially in pass protection, learned to really settle in and kind of run the ball from B gap to B gap. And then obviously anytime we can get him the ball on the perimeter, that's going to be huge because we've all seen what he can do in green grass.
I guess it's simplistic, but how much does he open up for that run game, especially kind of the lateral run game, when that backside of the defensive line has to stay home because it's him and not somebody maybe less mobile?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's two things. Number one, just, any C-gap conflict that you can create makes people play more disciplined, makes people stay home, kind of creates an even hat number. And then, a few times in Michigan State, you're actually able to get +1, Like the big counter that Sean scored on. They're so worried about his ability to pull the ball. Late rotation from a boundary safety. We're actually able to get the second puller to the safety, and a lot of that has to do with they got to make sure that they stay home on the backside, and so, allows you to get sometimes not only just even numbers, but +1, which, is where you want to live in a run game.
Coach, I know a lot of Saturday was the weather, but I'm just curious, kind of over the last couple of weeks, transitioning quarterbacks, like for you and your staff, how hard is it behind the scenes to game plan from what was like a offense that was almost leading the country in passing attempts to now a very run-oriented offense?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is just as long as you possess a system that allows you to kind of mix and match, and I think, the trio of coaches that I've been around have always done a really nice job of, whether it's a guy that you want to throw the ball 50, 60 times with, whether it's a guy that you want to throw it 30 times. Just when you've got a system and you've got the tools within the system to kind of get to what you need to, I think that says more about the system itself, and so, but our staff has done a tremendous job. Coach Johnson, Coach Henry, Coach Carey now, who's doing an excellent job, kind of filling in for us, the offensive line coach. But Coach Wright, like our tight ends have had to step up in a huge way, and a lot of that doesn't show up in the stat book, but from a pass protection standpoint, like our tight ends have had to become a huge part of that. From a run game standpoint, our tight ends have had to become a huge part of that. And to their detriment in the stat column. And that's hard, and it's hard to accept, but just, everybody's done a really nice job. And so I've got a great staff. I'm really fortunate as a coordinator to have a lot of really good people, more than just good coaches. And so we work together every week, try to put together and give ourselves a chance.
Walt, you've seen a lot of this offensive line on film all year long now, and obviously that was probably their best game.
Yeah.
When you look at the specifics, though, of what you see on film, like what kind of more specifically was different that they did so much better this week compared to last week, and if there were any individual players or things that kind of stood out for you with that?
I think from a technique and fundamental standpoint, we've done everything we can to limit the pictures that those guys are going to see, to simplify as much as humanly possible. When I say limit the pictures, I mean trying to create as consistent as a box as you can, regardless of what's going on around it. Whatever formation we have to get into to set the box in a certain way or to set the front in a certain way. So within the practice, that they can block those same techniques, those within the same as many times as humanly possible throughout the week. And I think like the young guys, like Khalil Benson, like Josh Sales, Carter Smith and Bray Lynch, both who played as true freshmen against Ohio State and last week. I think just really trying to limit the things that we're going to ask them to do on a daily basis have really allowed them to kind of improve over the last couple weeks. And, we're just really proud of those guys. Really, last week was kind of the first time that where we vertically dented the line of scrimmage. And I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of, because that's taken a lot of work, not only from Coach Carey, but from those kids, and how hard they've practiced. They've done everything that we've asked them to do. And now, everything takes time, but you're starting to see a little bit of the payoff. All right, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.